retro 90s first-person shooter genre holds a dear spot in my heart. I'm fairly certain my early introductions to gore were from playing Quake in my uncle's computer room, and I remember in hushed tones playing Doom at my friend's in secret while his parents slept. Fighting demons together at night is a memory that makes me especially susceptible to the recent games trying to emulate this era. Cultic, being made by one guy from a small publisher with a similar visual style to Blood, makes for a pretty enticing pitch. What you're getting here is Chapter 1 of Cultic, which makes for about 8 to 10 hours of play over 10 maps. Unlike most of the boomer shooter-likes that have been coming out, Cultic is a slower, more methodical game. It isn't as difficult as its direct comparisons, but that's a generous consideration. Cause I don't know if you remember what those were like, but they were freaking hard, and in a way that felt unavoidable at times. Here, if you're on the move, sliding and zigzagging, it's pretty hard to get nicked. And moving around here and firing off headshots feels great, especially when you get that slow motion effect very occasionally that allow you to pop off a couple more with ease. There's a lot of ranged battle here, at least for me. The game's actually pretty good at offering you multiple solutions to one problem, and hides its secrets pretty well. Ranged battle wouldn't work if the coloring of the world and pixelation wasn't just right. Fortunately, enemies rarely get lost in the scenery, and this is one of the best skyboxes I've seen all year. I loved sitting far back and picking off groups of enemies with my pistol to even up my chances for an encounter. I'm not quite sure what was happening in the narrative. I played through this twice and still it kind of all washed over me. Fortunately, it's unintrusive as you pick up notes through the game, and that gives you a better idea of what's going on. As far as I can tell, you're an investigator, and that's led you to this strange cult where mutations are happening to its members. Amongst the cultists are the occasional zombie, ghost, and eldritch beast. While this is all very well and cool, a lot of the game's design feels off. Platforming is absolute hell. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out stairs in this game, I just kept falling off. It wasn't always clear to me when something in the environment was interactable, which caused for many instances of unnecessary wandering around wondering what the heck I was supposed to do. Picking things up was always a guessing game waiting for the action box to show up, and enemy AI is really not that smart. Some might argue predictable is good in these kinds of games, but that's not what I mean. More fights than I can count ended with an enemy, even really cool big ones, stuck on a bit of the environment. That made cheesing them the best answer. Levels could be fairly maze-like and easy to get lost in. It was never a guarantee that when you walk over an item, you would pick it up. Probably my biggest issue is the length of the levels and very brutal checkpoints. I found it quite exhausting to redo long sections over again because of a platforming mistake, or hell, even taking a stray bullet from afar. I think a quick save feature would have gone a long way here in making this just a little bit more fun. So much of what's happening wrong here could be fixed with patches, and it was fun to slide around, throw chairs, and pick off enemies. I wish it took itself less seriously like some of its predecessors, and the weapon variety leaves a bit to be desired, but I did find a good use for enemies' leftover eyeballs pretty early on. This struggles to form its own identity, and if some of the weirder stuff is being saved for future episodes, that's a shame, because I would have loved to see some more of that here. Cultic feels less methodical and generous than 2018's Dusk, but it's a striking and compelling adventure for fans of the genre, and a good entry for the spooky season.